Today we're going to be doing something a little bit different yet again. We've done plenty of gun videos and we'll be getting back to some of those. I've got some stuff in work. We've done HP tuners, of which we're going to be doing more of that. I know the boost videos, or the boost control video, actually I've had some really good feedback on that. I will bring that back in and do a little bit of changing, as well as talk about controlling the stock turbo. But today we're going to be looking at tires. And as you can see, I have two different types of tires here. This may not be the most high quality of image, but you can clearly see that both of these tires are a little bit different. Now, believe it or not, I'm actually going to be running both of them on my Dodge Challenger. And we'll get a little bit more in depth on why I'm doing so, but really the reason why I'm doing this video is to kind of give an idea of the differences between the two tires. And this one, an ultra high performance tire, a UHP, and this one, an all-season high performance tire. What are the differences? Really, I'm just going to be getting into tread design. Not going to be getting into the compound of the tire, because they're actually both a silica-based compound, which is very common in this class of tire. What we are going to be talking about is tread design, because that, amongst other things, is very important to the design of a tire. Now, I know when I first got started into cars, you had your grandma tires with the square, funky-looking tread designs that probably looked more like cat food than what I have behind me. Or you had the Japanese-style tires that were just starting to hit the market. Falcon was brand new, and all of them they looked like claws. It looked like they were grabbing and digging into the concrete. So, of course, obviously they were high performance. Now, neither of these have that design. You'll notice that this one's pretty chunky. It's got a few angles to it. And yeah, this looks a bit aggressive, but for the most part, if I was back in my 20s, I would have found this very boring. And this tire actually has a more aggressive looking design aesthetically in some ways, if you don't understand what the differences are. Okay, now I got out my dial calipers before I started this video because, and you won't be able to read what I wrote on this tape, so I'm going to go through the numbers. You'll notice that this tire has 1, 2, 3, 4 fairly wide voids in it, whereas this one has 2 voids. And in reality, this one adds up to a total void of 2.1 inches. 2.1 inches of its entire span is missing. Now, this is for channeling water and grit and grime and whatnot, which you must do or you will float. Now, this one has a total void of only 1.2 inches. 90 thousandths more rubber on the ground. Now, with just looking at that, which one would you think has more grip? Well, basic logic tells me that this one, which has more rubber meeting the ground, should be the grippier of the tires. However, that's not exactly the way it goes. This one, while it has more voids and almost double the amount of missing rubber, if you will, because of its tread design. These big rubber blocks, these big solid rubber blocks, those solid rubber blocks, when they're on the ground, they're not moving. They're not squishy. They're not as squishy as this. If you look at each one of these little cuts, you can see those are what they call sipes. And while those are good for clearing the tire and for channeling water, they also lose some of the stability, or the rubber to the road, if you will. So while there may be more rubber to the road, this tire is going to ultimately have more grip and more stability in a dry arena than this tire, which may look more aggressive with its little spikes and whatnot. But with all of these little sipes, those are going to move. You know, you have in my case, I have a almost 4,000 pound car sitting on that tire. Now you can imagine how much one of those is going to move, especially when I put the pedal to the metal, if you will, and the torque reacts to this tire. They're going to squish. It's going to move. You know, if you think about, you know, physics, you have that large tread block which is sitting on the ground, and it's stronger. Or think about a large tree trunk. If you were to, let's say you're the Hulk, and you grab that large tree trunk and you try to bend it and break it, it's going to take more force to do so than, let's say, a little sapling. So that, to boil it down to a simple idea, then this other piece of tape that I have here, this tread block is 1.3 inches wide, and it is literally a solid tread block. There's no cuts in it aside from where it starts and where it ends. And this is on the side of the tire. This is where you'll get your stability in a turn, per se. 1.3 inches of solid rubber. Now if we go over here, this chunk right here is 1.24 inches. So 1.25 inches, rather comparable in width to the solid piece here. But in it has a tenth of an inch void, as well as 2 small sipes. So therefore, it's going to twist. It's going to give. Whereas the larger chunk, solid chunk of rubber, is going to hold on to the road. It's going to be more stable. The other thing that this tire has, that this tire does not have, is you will notice this piece of rubber right here is 2, basically 3/4 of an inch bands that are solid all the way around. There's one little split in between that run all the way around the tire. That basically acts like a miniature drag slick or a miniature race tire. Whereas this tire is siped all the way around, inside, outside. This one you have the miniature drag slick where your weight's going to be, especially when you from a dead stop. Now, certain forces will change where the most weight of your vehicle is at, but for the most part, depending on your camber, that's where your weight's going to be. This one, as you can see, sipes all the way across. That gives it a chance to move. Especially in instances where you're moving, you're dynamically moving. Turns, full throttle, it's just a mushy experience. That we're not even going to get into sidewall flex and whatnot. But for the basics, this tire, while it may have more rubber to the road, is going to be less stable than this tire right here. That is pretty much choosing a tire 101 for sport applications. What tires are these? This is an Kumho Ecsta ASX 245 45 20, and this is an Achilles ATR Sport 2 245 50 20. Width, they're the same. Sidewall is a little bit larger on this one by a total of an inch. Unfortunately, that inch made it too big to fit on the front of my Challenger, and kind of forced me to go with these guys, the factory size, for the front of my Challenger. Now granted, this is where the power is going to be, and this is where my turning, my control is going to be. This is not a corner carver. This is a car that I drive every day back and forth to work. I would actually prefer to have a little bit more control over gunk and grime and rain than straight out stability and holding. This is a daily driver. This is basically a factory car at this point. Did I want these? Initially, yes, but they didn't fit. We went with these. I've had really good luck with Kumho in the past. I've had excellent luck with these. I actually have a set on the rear now, and I preemptively ordered, so I've got an extra set waiting. I've had, like I said, I've had good luck with the Kumho, or the Achilles ATR Sports. I have them on the front of my SRT4. That's really where I started running them. On my second set on that car, you're looking at right around 300 wheel horsepower in a front wheel drive. These tires have lasted very, very well. I mean, they've gripped. They're not something that I would take to an autocross, but for a car that I basically drive on the road, I'm very happy. So far on the Challenger, they do what I want. I would prefer to have gone with maybe a 275, which is kind of stretching it on the factory 8-inch wheel. But for my power level and what I do with the car, these are working out really well. These guys are going on tomorrow. That's pretty much it today for Tactical Pontoon. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned a little bit. There'll be more to come. If you have any questions about tire size, just put a comment down below. Like, subscribe. Tell me how much you want to go back to guns, or you want to know something about HP tuners, or maybe that I should go back to my dry cleaning job or a newspaper route. Whatever it is, thanks for watching, and we'll catch you next time.